What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, I'd like to pause and take a moment to thank my subscribers and followers and listeners and what have you because of the support that you give the show, courtesy of millions of downloads over iHeartRadio over the last few months, and a subscriber base on YouTube that has now eclipsed over 1.25 million. Can't thank y'all for the love and support enough. The show just continues to grow and grow and grow. It would not happen if it were not for you guys. Really, really appreciate it. And on behalf of myself and my team, can't thank y'all enough. Keep the love coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. As usual, to be notified of all of our newest content, just click the bell in the right-hand corner, and you too shall consider yourself the latest member of the Stephen A. Smith Show family. And while you're doing that, please make sure to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Once again, go to straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Whole bunch of stuff to get into in light of everything that's been happening since the NBA Finals ended on Sunday night. It's been less than 48 hours, less than 72 hours, rather, since that happened, but it hasn't stopped trades from taking place. It hasn't stopped new teams acquiring new players. It hasn't stopped the scuttlebutt about what's going to transpire as the NBA drafts approach tonight. All of those things are things that we got to talk about, things that we got to consider and take into consideration. And who better to talk to than the ultimate NBA insider himself? When there is news to be broken, this brother is the one who usually breaks it. I'm talking about Mr. Shams Charania, my teammate at ESPN, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show for the very, very first time. What's up, Shams? How you doing, big time? How's everything going?
I say everything's great. I'm just honored, grateful to be on, making my debut on your show. You know, I love watching your show. You have your daughter on. You're talking about Pokemon characters, so I'm just glad to be a part of the mix here.
I appreciate it, man. And before we even get started, congratulations. You had big time shoes to fill, succeeding Woj himself, Adrian Wojnarowski. You did an outstanding job. You're the elite guy in this business. You did an absolutely fabulous job for us, and I'm honored and proud to call you a teammate at ESPN. Before I get into any of these questions, how was your first year at ESPN? Break it down for us. How much did you enjoy it?
It's been a whirlwind. I mean, to me, and Stephen, you've lived it for so long, but like the platform, how many eyeballs it reaches, that was definitely something that I found, eye-opening. But even more than that, what I love personally is like I could break news at any given moment. Like the Luka Doncic trade happened at 11, 12 p.m. is when I sent that tweet out. I was on TV 20, 30 minutes later. I
Wow.
know you got rung up that night as well. So I just love the fact that you can break news at any given moment and be on TV at any given moment. And obviously the platform is great. And I love the people, working with you and Malika and the Countdown crew and the Hillary guys of the world. Like there's just so many great people. And I'm just honored and glad and hopefully every day just making everyone I work with proud and making my family proud as well.
Man, we love working with you as well. You're a great person and you're a great professional, man. Okay, and you're young too. You know what I'm saying? So you got a long time in this industry and you're already a superstar in it. Let's get to the latest news, obviously broken by you. When we think about Jrue Holiday just getting moved from the Boston Celtics, I'm looking at first things first. Why did that happen? Explain to our audience why did that happen and who's considered the biggest beneficiary off this deal being made with the Portland Trailblazers.
So Stephen A, there's two sides of this situation. I think the easier side is the Portland Trailblazer side. To them, this is an aggressive move. Jrue Holiday still is known as an elite defender, a veteran player. I mean, two-time champion, six-time all-defensive team member. It's hard to throw shade on Jrue Holiday's name. The issue that the Celtics had when they were discussing Jrue Holiday deals, though, is that he had 3 years, massive numbers on his contract left. And so for the Celtics, they had a payroll approaching $500 million next season. And so I've been reporting it for weeks. I know me and you have talked about it for the better part of even before the playoffs started.
Yeah.
Win or lose this in the playoffs this past season, the Celtics were going to make some major changes. And that was going to start with players like Jrue Holiday. And we saw it last night when they reached agreement with Portland. And so that allows them to shed some money. Anthony Simons is an expiring contract. If they keep him, he's the guy that they like. He's the guy that can score the ball, obviously, 19 points a game, 5 assists tonight. You know what you're going to get from Anthony Simons. He's younger than Jrue Holiday as well. From Portland, this was an aggressive move. And I know Chauncey Billups, their general manager, Joe Cronin, they're excited about bringing Jrue Holiday in. Stephen, we saw the second half of last season. I don't know if many people did. But
Right.
the Trailblazers had a top 5 defense. Chauncey Billups had that team playing above 500 basketball in the second half of the year. So we'll see how that goes. But for the Celtics, SA, this is the start of a very active offseason. Kristaps Porziņģis, they're engaged in multiple conversations about trading him. The Celtics prefer not to trade Jaylen Brown and Derek White. But listen, the offers that they're getting right now and the conversations are going to be had. Does it reach the value? And that's the question. So you're looking at a lot of potential movement around the Celtics. And last night was just the start of that.
Shams, are you telling me there's a whole bunch of people out there as suitors for Jaylen Brown, even though he's in the midst of a $304 million contract?
There are multiple teams that have significant interest in Jaylen Brown. And you think about, for sure, the contract is steep. I understand it. But listen, there are teams, especially in today's NBA, especially in the Eastern Conference, and now what we're seeing in the Western Conference too. It's an arms race in the West. So
Mm.
even if you're a team that's meddling in the playoffs, you're trying to get there. You're trying to make a swing, and I think what we're going to see now in both conferences is a lot of activity.
On my day job on ESPN First Take every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to noon. Today, I brought up Kristaps Porziņģis and how that's a tricky situation. Not because he's injured, but because he's been ill. And by being ill and people in the Boston Celtics and himself not being able to pinpoint exactly what has ailed him, I said that's going to be difficult for a lot of teams to embrace, to stomach, to be willing to pull off a deal to acquire him when you can't even figure out what's been wrong with him. What do you have to say to that?
There's a lot of research being done, Stephen A. Like the 3 to 5 teams that are inquiring on Kristaps Porziņģis, making offers on frameworks for Kristaps Porziņģis. These are all conversations that they're having as well, and they're doing the research. They're reaching out to Kristaps Porzingis' representative Jeff Schwartz at XL Sports, trying to see what is going on exactly with Kristaps Porzingis. And so the rationale overall has been, and what I've been reporting is that he was dealing with essentially after effects. He's been dealing with a bunch of side effects from what was a viral illness in March. And again, it's his body, it's on him. And obviously the Celtics doctors, and they've been in the midst of it. So the Celtics know better than anyone what was going on with the Kristaps Porzingis. But there's going to be a team that's going to trade for Kristaps Porzingis, whether it's this week, draft week, or free agency week next week, that will do it. That feels like they're comfortable with how his health is, because he does have a market, Stephen A, of about 3 to 5 teams.
Quick answer to this: Jason Tatum with the Achilles tear, Tyrese Halliburton with the Achilles tear, Damian Lillard with the Achilles tear. The age, the advancement of technology in today's world, some people have speculated that it is possible, at least in the case of Lillard or Jason Tatum, that they could be back at some point in time during the playoffs. Are any of those teams, Boston, Milwaukee, Indiana? I sincerely doubt Indiana is in this case, since this just happened to Tyrese Halliburton. But are any of those teams anticipating we'll see any of those guys for the 2025-2026 NBA season?
Tyrese Halliburton is not expected to return all of the 2025-26 season. I'm told it's likely he is out for all of next year. And that a lot has to do with the fact that this just happened
Yep.
the final week of June. And so this is a long rehab, as you know, Stephen A, covering it for so long, 10 to 12 months. And that's usually, the 10 months is really on the early side for these athletes, especially superstar players, the level that they want to come back at. Jason Tatum also similarly, he had his, I think, what, in May. So this is
Yeah.
this situation
In
with
May.
Jason Tatum where, Kevin Durant, Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum all had their surgery within 1 to 2 days after the Achilles tear. All had it with the same doctor, Dr. O'Malley, at the Hospital of Special Surgery in New York City. They did it all
Mhm.
for a reason, and that reason was the quicker you do it, the better and more healthy you'll be back. When you are ready to be back, the better, the stronger that Achilles area will be. That was the goal with it. That doesn't mean he's going to be coming back soon. Remember when Kevin Durant got back, he had missed, I think, like 14 to 16 months because of the
That's right.
COVID situation and the time gap between when he actually made it back on the floor the following season in 2021. So I expect Jason Tatum to take his time, Tyrese Halliburton to take his time. The one question that I have is the Damian Lillard situation. He had his injury in April, of course. There has been some optimism that potentially he could be back within that 8 to 10 month period. But again, with these surgeries, with this type of injury, I'm always leaning toward the side of caution than a guy rushing himself back.
Well, since you bring up Damian Lillard, how about this? What's the situation with Giannis Antetokounmpo? I know he hasn't officially requested a trade. I know that Milwaukee was leaving stuff up for grabs. They're at his mercy, obviously. But with Dame expected to be out for a considerable amount of time, with them not being in possession of any first-round picks over the next 5 years, with the changes that you see taking place within the Eastern Conference and within the NBA, period, what's the latest on Giannis and his desire to stay in Milwaukee or him contemplating departing from them by asking to be traded elsewhere?
It's a lot status quo right now, Stephen A. on Giannis Antetokounmpo. And what has transpired? The Bucks lost in the first round for the third straight year. I reported the week of the draft lottery, NBA draft combine, that Giannis Antetokounmpo is open-minded and considering other options outside of Milwaukee. He has not requested a trade yet, but he remains open-minded, from my understanding. The Bucks, for their part, Stephen A., they're fully operating like Giannis Antetokounmpo will be back. That's their messaging to other teams, to free agents when they're going to go out and sell other free agents come July 1 and sell their own free agents. It's that Giannis Antetokounmpo will be back. And that's the only way they can operate. But Giannis Antetokounmpo will be giving them, he's been there for 12 years. He's going to let them operate in free agency, operate at the draft, see what moves they can make to get this team better. One thing about Giannis is that he's always played things close to the vest. When he signed his 2 extensions, Stephen A., no one has known about it since he's literally signing the paperwork. And in this day and age, usually agreements get out and guys are finalizing deals. It gets out. It's always gotten out when he's literally signed the paperwork. And that's pretty rare for a player in today's day and age. So with him, I don't expect this to be something that's going to be tied to the draft. I don't expect this to be tied to free agency. He's going to allow the Bucks to operate, see what they can do, see how they can make this team better. They have their own decisions to make. But this is someone that has said on the record, he wants to compete for a championship. The moment he feels like in Milwaukee, they're not competing for a championship, he's going to look around. He has said that on the record that he would be, but now that moment has come. And so I think over the next couple of weeks, let's see what the Bucks can do. They only have 1 first-round pick they can trade. They have a few second-round picks they can trade. They don't have the high-value tradable contract as well, and that's going to be a problem in the trade market.
Hold on, Shams. Hold on right there. By the way, I got to pay some bills. I'll be back with you in a moment. But by the way, before I even do that, you're breaking news right now, Shams. The New Orleans Pelicans are trading C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40th pick. That's what sources just tell you. So even while you sitting here with me talking to me, Shams, you breaking news. That's just what you do. That's just what you do. More of Shams Charania in a minute after I pay these bills. All right, everybody, listen up. With all the big-time sports action that's happening each and every day, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you are taking advantage of it all. That's why we partnered with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use, To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats. Choose from any of your favorite players, all in the same entry. Then sit back and watch. The list is endless. You can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in lineups. Just use promo code SAS and download Prize Picks now. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 in lineups instantly after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Hey, run your game. Thoughts about the Kevin Durant deal that landed him in Houston? Some people look at the Rockets and they say, hey, it's a pretty good deal for them. Phoenix should have gotten more. You're talking about Jalen Green. You're talking about Dillon Brooks. You're talking about the 10th overall pick and about 5 second-round picks. A lot of people thought they should have gotten more. My attitude is as great and phenomenal as Kevin Durant is. He is 36, approaching his 37th birthday, and you're the Phoenix Suns. You recognize that, and Miami obviously didn't necessarily have a better deal on the table, which we'll get into in just a second. Your thoughts about Houston doing this deal and what the belief is by everyone out there in terms of what Houston possesses because of it and what Phoenix possesses because of it?
This was clear in Houston and around the league. This is a win-now move for the Rockets. They put their chips in to an extent. They didn't give up a lot of their chips that they maybe valued more, but they put in the number 10 pick, which has a ton of value. Jalen Green, 20-point per game scorer at the age of 23, and Dillon Brooks brought a culture fit to the Rockets that I think we should commend. Him and Fred VanVleet helped Ime Udoka turn the culture around there. So on paper, that's not a ton, I guess, to give up for Kevin Durant. But listen, this is Kevin Durant turning 37. To me, and when I talk to scouts, when I talk to people around the league, he fits seamlessly to this team. Like he's a number one option on any given night. When you need a shot, we need a play to be made. Kevin Durant gives you that in a way that they felt like they didn't have last year in the playoffs. And so on that alone, this takes the Rockets to a whole nother level. And to me, Amen Thompson, how much he rises, that's going to be an even bigger focal point of whether this team can really make a run to the title. Is Alperen Sengun going to make strides as well? Because Kevin Durant, we know what Kevin Durant's going to do. He's going to put up
No
25 to
doubt.
27 points. He's going to score, score that amount. He's going to shoot 50, 40, 90, most likely, or somewhere close to it. We know what he's capable of, what he's going to do. And when they need shots, when they need playmaking, they have that. And I think what Kevin Durant loved the most about the Rockets is that they have these young, athletic guys that are going. You have the Tari Easons, Jabari Smiths of the world, Reed Shepard, who didn't play much last year, could get an opportunity now moving forward. You have Amen Thompson. You have Alperen Sengun. He's excited, my understanding is, to go and play with this young, energetic team when he can kind of be the old head and just slide in there and do his thing. And you know very well, Ime Udoka is a large presence in Houston, and he's a large presence around the NBA, and that's someone Kevin Durant has a lot of respect for. They cross paths in Brooklyn, cross paths at Team USA, and that relationship,
Mhm.
I think, will pay dividends for the Rockets as well.
What about the noise people are making about Phoenix that Dylan Brooks and Devin Booker is one thing, but that Jalen Green in all likelihood isn't going to stay there because that's not the ideal match with him and Devin Booker. The Phoenix Suns haven't said that. I'm not implying that. I'm just saying fans out there that have been talking about rumors and stuff like that have brought that question mark up. Have you heard anything about that being a legitimate question mark as to whether or not Jalen Green will stay in Phoenix because of his pairing with Devin Booker and how that might not be ideal?
On these two sides were discussing the framework, and it really got down the line middle of last week, and then over the last 24 hours, Friday, Saturday into Sunday, when it just became Miami and Houston kind of going back and forth, competing against each other to an extent. But that was the question: the Jalen Green fit. And on paper, you have Jalen Green, you have Bradley Beal, and you have Devin Booker, and there were questions, natural questions. But I think at this point, you make this trade, and the Suns are making this trade with Jalen Green in mind for next season. They're making it with him and Devin Booker as a high-powered backcourt. You still have Bradley Beal, though, and he's got 2 years, upwards of 110 million dollars left
Hmm.
on his contract. So they internally need to figure out how that will play out with Bradley Beal. Is there a bench role for Bradley Beal? Is there a starting role for him? Do you play those three guys together? That's a question for all of them. Josh Barstein, CEO, Brian Gregory, their general manager, Jordan Ott, their new head coach. That's what they've got to figure out the next couple weeks.
Shams, I've heard that they're so disgusted with Bradley Beal they couldn't give him away fast enough. You know, he obviously is one of only two players in the NBA that has a no trade clause. Otherwise, they would have been gotten rid of him. And then you're hearing that Matt Ishbia, the owner for the Phoenix Suns, is literally strongly contemplating sitting him down, whether it be letting him stay at home or do something to force him to get the hell up out of Phoenix. What have you heard about Bradley Beal and the Phoenix Suns?
I think going into this summer, both of those sides were going to have conversations about his future because clearly last season they included him in plenty of trade talks around the league. They were trying to figure out, is there Bradley Beal home to get Jimmy Butler? That was their goal, is to go get Jimmy Butler in a 3-4 team trade that sends him to Phoenix because they felt they needed that alpha personality. That now they kind of look at Dylan Brooks as similar. He's an alpha guy. Now Jimmy Butler, Dylan Brooks, all NBA, all star player. Jimmy Butler, Dylan Brooks obviously has done a lot of good things in the league, but Jimmy Butler is a star. But they are excited about Dylan Brooks. But yeah, I mean, there's no question that'll be a conversation the Suns are going to have with Bradley Beal. What's the fit there? He's going to probably want to have that conversation as well to figure out just exactly where he's at with that situation. But there's no doubt, Stephen. There were a lot of conversations, and if you're Bradley Beal, you're listening to all these conversations, and you're the one with the no trade clause. I do wonder how he feels.
Let me go back to the state of Texas with the Dallas Mavericks have extended Daniel Gafford, their big man there, which is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. But I'm also hearing some noise that Kyrie Irving is not happy because the Dallas Mavericks obviously have talked to him about extending him, but the offer isn't as exorbitant as he would like. What, if anything at all, are you hearing about Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavericks at this particular moment in time?
So right now it's 120 East Coast time. He's got a player option that he's got to decide on by the end of the day for $43 million. And so the sides, like you said, they've been discussing what does it look like if there's an opt out and then a new extension, a 2-3 year framework deal. What does that look like? And if there's no deal that happens between now and that opt out deadline, opt in deadline, it'll be because Kyrie Irving feels whatever the Mavs have offered is well below his market value in his mind, from my understanding. And they have made offers as of this moment. Again, things can change. We're still hours away from that deadline. But as it stands right now, all the Mavericks offers have been below that $40 million per year threshold. They have not gotten to $40 million per year. He's at 43 on his player option. So if you're Kyrie Irving and they're coming in well below that $43 million mark, and if he decides to just opt in and play out the year, he would then be slated for free agency in 2026. So this is a massive question right now in the NBA. Stephen A., this is something I'm tracking pretty heavy right now, but there's no doubt if there is no deal today, it's because if there's no long-term deal, it's because Kyrie Irving has deemed that they had just offered well below market value.
Well, clearly they were going to do that. I knew they were going to do that the second he went down with his ACL injury. There was no doubt about that. But I will say
Well, Stephen
this.
A., to add
Go ahead.
this, when he
Go ahead.
when he before he had that torn ACL, I'm talking to teams around the league, and the consensus was that he was going to be in line for a contract in the range of $50 to $60 million per year
Yes.
on a 3 or 4 year deal. That's what he was on track for. That's what his numbers justify. That's what his leadership, everything he's brought to Dallas justified. But then he had that torn ACL, and clearly, in the Mavericks' eyes, so far in these conversations, the value has not gotten back to that point.
Well, I think what he was targeted for, was absolutely justified. I think he's been outstanding in Dallas. He's been an outstanding leader as well. Players throughout the league love him. He's not a cancer or considered a cancerous effect inside of a locker room. They don't believe that at all. So I definitely believe he deserves his money in that regard. Also, the biggest argument for him, Shams, should be you wouldn't have let go of Luka if you didn't know you had me. There's no way on earth you would have let go of Luka Doncic if you know you had me. So that's a story for another day. Just a couple more questions because I know you got a busy schedule and I really, really appreciate your time. Looking at it, I'm not going to let you get out of here without asking about my New York Knicks. What the hell is going on? I mean, all of these coaches they're asking about. I mean, everybody. It seems like they've asked for permission to talk to every damn body, including Jason Kidd of the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, Ime Udoka before he got his extension. Even Quinn Snyder
Quinn
of the Atlanta
Snyder,
Hawks
Billy
for crying out loud.
Donovan.
I'm
Yeah,
losing it.
so Billy Donovan, Ime Udoka, Quinn Snyder, Chris Finch, Jason Kidd. 0 for
Wow.
5. They requested permission on all 5 of those coaches. Some of them are going to end up with contract extensions. And I will say, a lot of people, I put out Ime Udoka's deal, and he signed a very big contract extension. He's got an
Yes.
8-figure deal annually. Obviously, well deserved there. That was in the works well before the Knicks reached out. That's why when the Knicks reached out, it's like everyone in the league knew Ime Udoka was going to get the bag. So
No
that's,
doubt.
it's kind of surprising that way. Very unorthodox. I have never seen them. I've never seen an NBA team operate like this. But again, they felt like they had to do their due diligence. Let's see who's out there. Let's see who we could potentially slither our way in their homes to see if we can talk them into coming to the Knicks. So now where it's at is they interviewed Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown last week. I'm told they interviewed Micah Nori, the Minnesota Timberwolves lead assistant, this week. And Micah Nori served as essentially an acting head coach for the Timberwolves last year in the playoffs. A lot of people think he's destined to be a head coach at some point in the league. So this is not a no-namer guy in the NBA. But again, you just fired Tom Thibodeau, a guy that led you to the conference final for the first time in 25 years. He's as big name of an NBA coach as you're going to get. And these are the options. There's no knock on any of these 3. Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, very, very well regarded in NBA circles. Mike Nori, very well regarded in NBA circles. But we're at the NBA draft week, and there's still no head coach. I think the way they're operating right now is they're going to be patient. Let's see what the market is. We're not in any rush. Let's talk to the candidates. I think there could be even more interviews in the next few days.
Which makes it a mess as far as I'm concerned, but that's me talking, not you. Last question. This draft, this NBA draft, it's all about Cooper Flag and everybody else. We all know he's going number 1 to the Dallas Mavericks. Is there anything that we should be looking forward to for this upcoming NBA draft outside of him, of course?
Yeah, so Cooper Flag 1, Dylan Harper, by all accounts on my end, number 2 to the Spurs. The Spurs feel like at 6'6", his frame, what he brings on both ends of the floor, positionless basketball, as we saw in the NBA Finals with the Thunder and the Pacers, that's in right now. And they feel like even though they have Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox, he'll fit right in there. But the draft starts at 3, 4, 5. And I would say what people can prepare for, I think there's going to be a lot of movement this year in the draft. I think there's going to be picks flying across the board. Could be, as early as the top 6, could be in the lottery. I'm hearing so many conversations that start really at pick 3, 4 down. And a lot of teams are telling me, even when we get to the pick, we're not just making a selection. We're listening to a bunch of teams making calls. And so I think that will be a theme of the draft as well.
Any particular team in the draft we should be keeping our eyes on more than anybody in terms of movement?
I mean, Utah's interesting to me at 5. Toronto's interesting to me at 9. Oklahoma City's got a few picks in this draft. What do they do with those picks? Brooklyn's got a few picks in these drafts. What do they do there? Their teams are going to, those are particularly teams that could even consolidate, look to potentially add all their picks up, move up high in the draft. And then what does Philadelphia do at 3? We know Daryl Morey's always going to be opportunistic, but the likelihood probably you keep that pick at 3. You draft a VJ Edgecombe, a Ace Bailey. So we'll see what they do at 3, and then depending on who falls, I think 4 or 5 is just waiting to see which dominoes fall. Does Philly surprise everyone, take Ace Bailey, and then that kind of will shake up the draft. So I think there's a lot of unanswered questions right now.
The insider extraordinaire himself, Shams Charania, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Appreciate you, my brother, man. Go back to work, man. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow.
I say appreciate it. You're the best, man. Thank you.
No doubt. That's the man, Shams Charania. He knows what the hell he's talking about. And you heard what he said. He's keeping his eyes on the Kyrie Irving situation in Dallas and what that could materialize into. Because you got to remember something about Kyrie Irving. This ain't the same dude that was making noise for all the wrong reasons several years ago. He's been a model citizen in Dallas. He's been a spectacular player. There are times that he has led without Luka Doncic on the floor, and the Dallas Mavericks didn't miss a beat. Kyrie is that spectacular of a talent. And by the way, he's universally loved by players around the league. So this notion of him being a cancerous effect in the locker room, nobody's believing that nonsense anymore. Make no mistake about that. Of course, you knew that the Dallas Mavericks were going to try to lowball him once he suffered the ACL injury. But the bottom line is injuries are a part of the game. And you have to believe that he's going to come back. And his game isn't predicated on his athleticism, playing above the rim and all of that. Nasty ball handling skills and his ability to dance on you, that can easily return. And I suspect it will. And when you went out the way to acquire an Anthony Davis, to unleash or let go of a Luka Doncic, you don't let go of Luka Doncic if it was not for you having Kyrie Irving. You let go of Luka Doncic because you knew you had Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, is a champion. We keep forgetting that. The brother's a champion. He got a chip, got a ring, and had a lot to do with LeBron James helping Cleveland erase that curse from 52 years, because this brother averaged 27 in that series. We keep forgetting that stuff about Kyrie Irving. So I think he deserves his bag. And if Dallas doesn't, if they lowball him or whatever, you got to remember the way Kyrie's makeup is all about. He's the kind of person that ain't going to forget it. And so if you lowball him, it ain't like you can come back and play nice at a later date. If you don't treat him right up front, he's going to have a problem with that. That's just how he is. He's big enough to overcome it, but he's going to have a problem with it, okay? So this is new ownership. This is not Mark Cuban. Chances are it's not Nico Harrison, because if it were up to Nico got a lot of love for Kyrie. Long-standing relationship. One's got to believe that's real, okay? In terms of Phoenix, they had to make the deal for Kevin Durant because you had to make it before the trade or before the draft. You got 2 starters. You got a young cat in Jalen Green, who I was not impressed with in the postseason, but overall he is impressive, and he's only 22 years of age. His upside is tremendous. He just has to get some discipline. So we got to know that about him. When you look at Dylan Brooks, he's a rough rider, and Devin Booker needs somebody like that as a teammate, an instigator, a troublemaker, etc. And you got 5 second-round picks, so you're recouping some of the assets that you gave away in acquiring Kevin Durant from Brooklyn years ago. Not all of those assets, but some of them. And who knows if you'll be able to pull off getting rid of Bradley Beal, which Phoenix clearly wants to do. As it pertains to Giannis, there's no indication that he wants to leave, but shouldn't he? Where's Milwaukee going? They don't have their own first-round picks for the next 5 years. They're limited in what they can do, and Damian Lillard is a huge question mark. In all likelihood, he'll miss next season because of the torn Achilles. Yeah, technology says you could come back sooner than that, but when is he going to return to being Dame Dollar? Chances are it's not going to be until the season after next, due to health. So I'm just of that mindset. I just don't know if you're Giannis that you want to stick around for that. The Knicks, it's haphazard. They need a coach. They should have had a plan. This has James Dolan written all over it. I thought it was just Leon Rose, but this has James Dolan written all over it. Because how the hell do you push Tom Thibodeau out the door and you don't have a damn plan? It's ridiculous. So that's where I'm at with it. That's how I feel about it, no doubt. So we'll see where that goes from there. Boston, just a damn shame. I expect them to be formidable. If Kristaps Porziņģis was healthy, with the rest of the team that they have in place, I expect Boston to be able to make some noise. The problem is, it's not just Jason Tatum being out with the Achilles tear for the whole season, as is anticipated next season. The problem is you don't know what the hell is up with Kristaps Porziņģis, because he doesn't know what the hell is up with him in his health. So there's a lot of question marks. Meanwhile, Houston's on the rise. Houston's on the rise. Orlando getting Desmond Bane. You got to pay attention to them. Cleveland trying to resurrect themselves and make up for the doldrums they experienced in the postseason. You can't dismiss them. Dallas eventually is going to get back healthy. Luka might be in shape when this season starts with him and LeBron and the Lakers. Okay? San Antonio, Wembanyama. What if San Antonio Spurs get an additional asset? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I can't wait because I think we're going to find out a lot at the NBA drafts. I think a lot of moves are going to be made. At least a few. I really, really think that's going to happen. We shall see. We shall see. That's it for this edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I just wanted to give you a special off-day edition. Obviously, I'm traveling. I'm doing a lot of stuff, as we prepare for the NBA draft. Had a long NBA season. Was on the road for the last 2 months covering Minnesota and OKC, then OKC and Indy, going back and forth between Minnesota and OKC and New York. And I mean, it's been real hectic. And the culmination is tomorrow night's NBA draft. That's what we're going to do. So I can't wait to get that over with, to see what happens. I mean, Cooper Flagg's going #1 overall. Okay, we know pretty much who the first and the second picks are going to be in the NBA draft. After that, it's a crapshoot. Going to be real interesting to see what the Sixers do with the 3rd overall pick. Can Joel Embiid and Paul George get some help other than Tyrese Maxey? Really, can Tyrese Maxey get the help? But can they get some help? You know what? I'd give up the #3 overall pick for an elite orthopedic surgeon that could heal Embiid and Paul George. I'll tell you that much. I'll do that. But that's just wishful thinking. Either way you slice it, I'll holler at you in the next couple of days. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'm signing off after giving you this quick one, but I'll be back with more in a couple of days. Don't worry about it. I'm not going away. Talk to you later. Peace and love.